What's up everyone and welcome to another Warframe video. So today is finally the day I am going to be taking a look at something that came in Fortuna Part 2, and that is the changes to my favourite frame of all time, and that is Nyx and Nyx Prime. Oh, I've been waiting so long for these changes. So what has actually changed so far? Well, honestly, not a huge amount. It's more of a sort of reimagining of her skills and just adding on some usability to them. So let's start with her passive. Her passive has actually changed. This is wrong down in the bottom left here. They don't put weapons down anymore, which is good because honestly, the damage from the enemy weapons was actually more useful than their stupid little baton sticks that they end up going with. So this actually has boosted chaos by changing her passive. Her passive now actually means that enemies have a harder time hitting Nyx. And although it's super hard to test, I can't actually tell whether this is working or not. I have like passed on the feedback that it might not be working, and I'm sure they're going to take a look into it, but I'm not convinced. I get shredded just as quickly as I ever have done, so maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe there's some hidden niche to the passive. I'm not entirely sure. However, that is what the passive is now, despite what it says in the bottom left-hand side of the screen. Mind control hasn't really changed, to be perfectly honest with you. You still select a single target. You still change them to being part of your side. However, what has changed now is that what you can do is you can pick one and then shoot them. As you can see in the bottom, top right, is that enemy that I put a load of shots into is now doing 707% more damage. So picking a real high priority target like a bombard or a heavy gunner or a tech or even a sniper crewman with like 700% more damage, wreck face. It's ridiculously funny. So this actually hasn't really changed. Like, as you can see, all these enemy units are now focused on my mind control unit, and pretty much if I recast it on, like, I can release them and recast it on something else, load them up with damage, and yeah, now he's doing 500% more damage. So yeah, it really is very, very useful. Like, you can take advantage of headshot multipliers as well. If you can hit the head, there you go, look, 854, so actually being precise when you're loading them up with damage helps as well. The one thing it doesn't help is, like, if it doesn't have any armor, then it doesn't actually stack any more damage on that than it would do normally. But that is basically mind control to a T. Enemies that spawn other units still spawn other units, so like these techs and their shield ospreys, or the Kavat Hayeka Masters and whatever will still spawn the cats and dogs. So that is still a thing as well. I'm just going to release the guy. And obviously, if you've stacked up enough damage on a unit, they will take that. They will take that damage when they die as well. So let's load him up with some damage. And then, yeah, you can see he's like lost half his health. That's because I stacked a bunch of damage before he died. So, more often than not, the target you've got mind controlled is probably going to die when mind control runs out. However, as you could see, the damage from mind control wasn't particularly good there. And that is because, you know, these are higher level enemies, and we are sort of working on very, very heavily armored units. Well, that is where the second ability now comes in. Psychic bolts used to be utter trash. Let's be honest, it was bloody awful. It really was terrible. However, now what it does is it throws out the bolts like it used to, and strips enemy defenses based on power strength. I think you only need a single intensifier to bring this debuff up to 100%. As you can see, I've got it on 100% right here. Now, that is a really simple ability, and it can actually be recast as well, so I'm going to sort of show. So, let's say, for example, I'm going to use the heavy gunner here. Let's stack him up with some damage. So, he's doing 900% more damage, so he's not going to be doing very much, as you can see. And now I can do this, and watch him go. Watch him shred. This is such a big bonus and such a big buff to, like, this ability. Like, it means that you can just absolutely shred things, and you can actually have one super heavy unit, like, that's run out, as you can actually see the difference. You have one super buffed up unit like this, that just does a ton of damage. There we go. Just watch him shred. Watch him go. And then obviously it means that you can also take down these really, like, heavily armored units super quickly as well. So let's say, for example, I'm not even going to use mind control here. I'm just going to throw this out. There we go. And now, goodbye, level 160s. Goodbye. Yeah, this ability is very, very, very strong. But the best thing is, it also works on, let's get rid of these guys for now. It also works on the corpus. So let's get a couple of techs going. Let's get 4 techs. Oops. Come back. Come back. So let's get 4 techs going. Simulate those. So techs don't have armor, right? Well, this strips defenses. So, goodbye shield. Yeah, it's pretty good. Psychic bolts is really, really good now, and so I actually can. Well, now I think about it, I completely forgot to show it. Show the resetting. So what I can do is let's bring in another one of them, and I think I had like 4 bombards. There we go. So throw that out. Oh, sorry about that. I just sneezed. So yeah, if it doesn't hit the thing that you want, actually there's actually enough people to hit there. But say for example it doesn't hit the guys that you want, hold your cast button again and like it's ready to go again. So now you can recast it. This basically is like one of the downsides of this ability was that it would like pick random as hell targets. Like if you had I know what we'll do. We'll chuck a couple of butchers into the mix as well. Where are they? Butcher. There you are. Let's go 3 butchers. So now there's too many. We've only got 6 bolts here, so now there's too many to do. So look, we've taken out we've taken out the armor on all those butchers, but look, there's some bombards behind there that we need. So boop, recast it, and now all the bombards have got it, and like 2 of the butchers. So that's a real nice feature as well that you can you can just basically reset it and recast it, which is really, really nice. Chaos hasn't actually changed whatsoever, as you can imagine. However, this second ability now, obviously, really, really, really works super well with Chaos. Let's say, for example, like, let's just strip of the mirror armor and just let him go. Because obviously now they're going to do more damage to each other. I mean, this is actually going to show just how much health they have right now, but yeah, look, these are high level enemies killing each other now. I have nothing to do with this. I'm just like stood back here, just like they're just doing this to themselves. These are high level enemies. This is unbuffed as well, so. And the best thing about this is that your friendlies are just sat back picking the guys off. Look. So say, yeah, there we go. Recast. Look. Oh, Chaos has run out. Recast it. So your friendlies are just like sat back here completely like invulnerable right now because obviously they're not being shot at. And you're just dealing with like entire groups of enemies with ease. So yeah, that's one advantage I didn't talk about with the psychic bolts as well. You can actually do it while reloading. So if you're actually like in the let's fire a single shot and fire a single shot and then reload, but you need to cast it quickly. Oh look, I've managed to cast it whilst reloading. So nice, so usable. Like I love this ability. It's really strong, and like there are very few abilities that have the not just armor strip but the defensive strip potential of this. Absolutely incredible. And then her 4. Her 4, it got some updated like math to it as far as I understand, but also basically now the most the biggest element that it absorbs is what the damage output will be of that, of the blast. There you go. But, you know, it still does bugger all damage, and there's absolutely no way of telling what the damage output, like, damage type is going to be. So, it's, I don't know, there's not much change with that. It's still the same, honestly, still the same terrible ability that it was before, to be perfectly honest with you. So I realised the one thing I didn't do while I was on the in the simulacrum was actually show you my build. So we're just gonna head down into the down into my orbiter and just quickly show the build that I'm using while I was testing there. The damage output was increased. Oh, there we go. We're having some server issues, so was increased by the fact that I have Mindfreak. Now, again, Mindfreak, I think it seems to be working. However, it doesn't show up in the little graphic on the top right, so that's a bit of a problem right now, because it doesn't show as working. But hey, this is my Umbral Nyx as well, and when I do a full video on Nyx, I will have an Umbral build and a non-Umbral build, but this is actually a build I came up with before the rework even happened, because I was kind of hoping this was actually going to end up being what the rework was, and I was pleasantly surprised, because that's exactly how it turned out. However, Umbral Vitality for health, Umbral Intensify, and Power Drift for the power strength. We have Stretch and Augur Reach for range. Mind Freak, which is going to take advantage of the Power Drift and Umbral Intensify. And obviously we're going to have a 100% defense strip with this as well. We got Streamline to make things cheaper. Prime Flow, which is going to work with our Arcane Energize to make sure we've got enough energy going forward all the time. And Prime Continuity to keep all our abilities running more. So with that being said, what do I actually think of the Nyx rework? Well, honestly, she is amazing now. She really is brilliant. I have been having a ton of fun with her since the change. She is just... she's not perfect. Like, don't get me wrong, she is not perfect. I kind of wish the window on her first ability was a little shorter. Like, the animation, I think, for it kind of lasts too long. But I would actually like to see the invul phase where you're stacking damage, like, go down by about half, but double the damage. So you'd spend less time shooting at the at your stacked enemy. Because if you do that every, like, I mean, I've got 37 seconds or something on mine right now, so it's, yeah. I think that could use a little bit of a usability tweak, personally. I really, really do. I also, obviously, the thing is, you've got, what, like, it's a 40-second, with my build, like, 40 seconds worth. But it spends the first, like, 5 seconds being, like, completely... Yeah, it just spends it recovering from the animation, which is not really particularly helpful. So, I don't know, I think that could use a bit of a usability tweak. Her second ability, I kind of wish went to more high priority targets, and also possibly was slightly quicker to recast, because I think that's too long. I really do think it's far too long to hold to recasting. I think that should be at least half of what it is now. Like, the thing is, even if you're tapping it, like, to recast it, you're not going to hold it down long enough to strip what you already have, if that makes sense. It's not going to be long enough for that. So, like, halving the time to recast, I don't think is actually going to make much of a... is actually not gonna, like, change the usability at all. But it would actually be nice if it went for more high priority targets more often. Nyx is a frame that she knows in her mind what is high priority and what isn't. So it really would make sense that she would send her bolts after the highest priority targets more often than not. So your techs, your heavy gunners, stuff like that. So, yeah, I really do think that needs a little bit of a change as well. Chaos is absolutely perfect. Her 4 still sucks. I'm sorry, but it is terrible still. Like, I hate it with a passion. It's a static 4 in a mobile game. Like, Warframe is so, like, movement heavy. It's so, like, I don't know. the enemies don't last long enough either, like, for you to stack damage and actually realistically use them on anything. So, like, for example, like, look how quickly we're taking these waves out. For, like, there isn't time to sit there and stack damage on enemies to try and, like, release a big old wave of damage. Plus, there's absolutely no way of seeing what your stack damage type is, so you can't even make an informed decision about when you want to release. Because obviously you're going to want it to be like slash damage, or you're going to want it to be like viral or something, which is definitely the more useful damage types. But there's no way of actually seeing that. And that's a bit of a shame, and it still means that, honestly, her force still sucks. It's really, really bad still. And realistically, like, I don't want to see the whole argument of, well, Assimilate makes it good. No, it doesn't. Assimilate doesn't make the ability good. The ability still sucks, even with Assimilate. Because you're not using the ability, you're using the invulnerability from the ability, that's it. So, the Assimilate doesn't make Absorb any good still. It just doesn't. The ability needs to go back to the drawing board and to be reworked, like, properly from the ground up. It really does. Not a fan of that whatsoever. But in general, Nyx as support now, she has insane scaling. And if you start modding for power strength like I've done, my build, I'm loving my build. Like, the fact I can stack and make an enemy do, you know, like 1,000 plus damage, especially if I aim for headshots. Like, there you go, he's running 738% more damage before my Mind Freak is even calculated. Like, I don't know at what point Mind Freak gets calculated, but yeah, look, he's killing. He's somewhere. I don't know where he's gone. I wish I had some way of keeping track of where he's gone. Oh, there he is. But look, go on, buddy. You'll kill him. Kill him. Like, it's so good. Like, I'm having so much fun, and the armor strip actually makes Mind Control and Mind Freak good. This is the thing, like, the synergy between her 1 and her 2 actually has made a big difference to the way that Mind Control works. But not just Mind Control, also Chaos. Because now the enemies that are Chaos can actually still do damage to each other. Like, that was one of the big problems in the past, was that Chaos dropped off so early because, in terms of the damage output of Chaos, dropped off really early because the enemies would just, like, basically not be able to damage each other, which was a big problem. And now that isn't a problem anymore because it just straight up, by straight up removing defenses, they now do max damage against each other, which is so good. I am very, very happy with the next changes. I do think that she could use, like I say, the change to her 4, the, yeah, so that could use a bit of a work, and I also think that she could use a couple of, like, quality of life things, such as, you know, like, lessening the cast time on this, and also the recast on her 2 could also really be done a lot better. Being able to melee while you hit your 2 is so good, by the way. Like, you can reload and hit 2 because it's a one-handed animation, so you can just straight up do that. You can just straight up be like, yo, hang on, you're my defensive target now. You shall defend the target. There you go. Do some damage. It's so much fun to play now. Nyx has gone from a very, I'm gonna say mediocre, like, team player, crowd control kind of specialist to, damn, I love it. I am very, very happy with this, with the way she's actually turned out, as you can probably guess. However, I think I'm going to end the video there. Let me know your thoughts in the description below. Whoops, I was holding up the wave. That needs to stop being a thing. You can hold up the entire wave by having a mind control target. That needs to stop being a thing. But yeah, let me know in the description below what you're thinking of the new Nyx Rework. I'm going to have more videos on some other frames coming very soon. But for now, thank you all so much for watching, and I shall catch you in the next one.